Welcome back, ladies, gentlemen, and NBs, and thank you for tuning back into St. Andrew TV, a cure for your Monday blues. I am your host, Andrew, and today we are going over something that is far past due here on this channel, and that is, I got a custom belt and holster set up by JM Company leather. So leave your initial impressions down in the comment section, but after the introduction, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the custom gun rig. So now that I have my jacket removed, you can see my new belt in all its glory. This was handcrafted by a man named Mitch that I actually met down in Tombstone Redemption, and he is the man behind JM Company leather. And we got to talking, and I learned a lot about him. He actually handcrafts most of the clothing he wears, and he actually hand sews it, or if he doesn't hand sew it, he uses an 1876 sewing machine. And much like his clothing, his leatherwork is also extremely historically accurate. Everything you see on this belt is saddle stitched, and each hole that you put the stitch through is individually punched. I don't know if you can see, but he actually has his maker stamp on the holsters itself and on various parts of the belt. So a lot of the initial impressions probably state something like, wow, that looks like Wild Bill's gun rig. That's because I tried to emulate it as best I could, or I portrayed it to Mitch, and he emulated it as best as he could. And I must say he did a very fantastic job on recreating a Wild Bill style holster. Now that I have the belt in front of me, let me tell you a little bit more about it because there's a lot of history to unpack with such a simple yet unique design. As you could tell when I was wearing it, this is two California Slim Jim holsters that are full length and also setting in the cavalry position. And as you can see, each individual hole was hand punched, and it was also saddle stitched to give it that nice reinforced look that we so desire. And we also have the little stamp up here to tell us who made it. Now I did get the full length just in case I did want to go full Wild Bill and get me a pair of 1851 navies, but that is somewhere down the road. As of right now, the two Colt single action armies that I possess will have to do. You can see on the holster it has a nice little design that has been stamped into the outer edge that covers up the seam that goes around said holster. These holsters are also very historically accurate, as they are the California Slim Jim. What I mean with historically accurate is when you seat the gun down in the holster itself, everything is now covered. Nothing is exposed like you see in a lot of fast draw holsters. You usually see that trigger guard popping out, but these were meant to be seated when holstered. Remember, there were not cars back then, and we weren't just getting our gun rig out just for a fast draw competition or a cowboy action event. These were meant to hold your gun in place while you were on horseback. You can take a good look there. That thing is pretty well seated in there, and notice there is absolutely nothing keeping that hammer position as well. Like you see the little leather loop that comes up on the newer holsters. This one doesn't have that. They just sit where they sit. Everything that I just said about the holsters, the same applies to the belt itself. This is all saddle stitched and threaded through each individual hole that was hand punched. But as we move around to the back of the belt, you will notice that there are no cartridge loops. And that is for two reasons. I'm a narrow guy. I don't want all that extra weight in the back where I could carry something in my back pocket. And, you know, if you're good at gunfights, 12 rounds should be enough to do the job. Second of all, same thing as earlier, if I get my hand on some 51 navies, well, cartridge loops aren't going to do me a whole lot of good because that's cap and ball. And to conclude, when you put the belt on, and top off your outfit or whatever you are doing that said day, it's met with a beautiful stainless steel belt buckle. One thing to add before I forget is I even have my initials that were put into the belt itself to make it more personalized. And might I add, the ruggedness and how rustic it looks like this was done by hand, which it all was, makes it a little bit more period accurate. You couldn't get custom stamps coming across from the East in any sort of time. If you needed a custom rig or was having a custom gun belt and holster combination built, you were probably looking at a pretty penny. But for the sake of staying historically accurate and true to the time period, I think my idea was pretty spot on, and then the craftsmanship itself was immaculate. Another thing to point out before I go, notice how high up these holsters sit on my hips. That is historically accurate. I don't think Buscaderos came around until if it's not the True West magazine article that I saw about 1908 or something, it was Hollywoodized. The Buscadero rigs where the gun sits down on your thigh is very inaccurate, I must say. But here's how it all looks now that I don't have my jacket on, with two Colt single action armies sitting in them from the side. And if I pull this up here, you can see from the side here how beautiful that nice long piece of leather looks. You know, ready for some altercations, I suppose. And there it is. That wraps up my custom holster and belt combinations from JM Company leather. I would like to send a big thank you to Mitch and what he did for me. This was a couple months in the making. I knew what I wanted after seeing that Deadwood series on HBO, Deadwood. And the holster itself, along with the belt, was very enticing to me, but Mitch, who is a living historian, let me know on the flaws it was in terms of a historical manner, and he made the corrections for me to have a belt that is period correct and built period correct. Mitch is on TikTok and Instagram, and you can find him with the links down below. I highly suggest you go check him out. I am not being sponsored, and I am not getting paid to tell you about the high quality stuff that I showed you here today. I am merely just a customer who is finally, after years of making videos for this platform, getting my own custom piece of leather. So go check out Mitch. JM Company Leather is his business, and I'm sure he would be more than happy to make you a custom belt and holster combination as well. It's a little extra something he sent me too. So he does do Mexican loop holsters as well. You don't have to stick with the California Slim Jim. And actually, when I met him down in Tombstone, he was actually wearing a holster that he found in a newspaper clipping, or I guess a catalog article from holsters that they were selling at the time of the events that make Tombstone so famous. With that being said, thank you everyone for getting this far into the video. Please leave a like if you enjoyed today's video, or leave me a comment stating what you liked, or tell me what I should do next. I have a Patreon that has been opened up for a few months now. I take great pride in being community funded and community funded only. As for me at St. Andrew TV and the close people that work with me to make these videos possible, you will never see a sponsorship here on this channel. However, only donate to the Patreon if your means allow it. The content on YouTube will forever remain free. Thank you to everyone who has subscribed as of late. But for those of you who have come across this channel, and maybe you saw the Wild Bill gun rig, maybe you just want a little history about the holster itself, or maybe you came across this channel by accident and saw this beautiful piece down here and he's like, wow, that must be Leather Daddy. Think about hitting that subscribe button, because you're a daisy if you do. Or maybe you came